Hi, students. While we're waiting for Lizzie, will you just take the time to complete the attendance register for me, please? Thank you. Hi Lizzie, I started the recording and I pasted the register and everything for you, so you can just start.
Thank you, Claudine.
My pleasure.
Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry for being late. Today we're going to do financial maths. We're going to look at simple interest and compound interest. And when we do the compound interest, we are going to look at how we calculate it manually, and those with the financial calculator, how do we use the financial calculator to calculate the compound interest. Compound interest. So I am sorry because I thought we're starting at 3. Sorry. We will start with the simple interest and then move into the compound interest. Anywho, so what is simple interest? That's what we're going to learn in this first half hour of our session. We're going to learn how to do the basic interest, the basic calculation for simple interest. And a simple interest is just the amount you pay on the, or is the amount you receive or pay when you borrow money or you save money. And this is always calculated at the beginning of the term as a proportion of the amount you borrowed. So if, let's say, for example, you go to the bank and you borrow 10,000 and they tell you that the interest will be 10%. So they will take that proportion of 10% from your loan amount, and they will calculate it and say if the interest you will owe on this loan amount will be 10% of 10,000 will be 1,000. So you will have to pay back 10,000. Oh, sorry, 10,000 plus that 1,000 interest. And it's always payable at the beginning of the term. So you only pay it once off at the beginning. So not that it's going to be broken down and you only settle it at the end. No, it's part of your installment. And we usually use the formula I is equals to P times R times T, where P is our present value or our principal amount, and the rate is our interest rate, which will be in a percentage form. When we substitute into the formula, we have to divide by 100. And T will be our term or period. And our term and period are always in years. I just want to make sure that this is in a presentation mode. Sorry about that. So that I can be able to see your the chat at the end. Okay, so remember what I was saying was the period we always count it as in number of years. So for example, if they give you the term or the period in months, we just need to make sure that we convert it to years by dividing by 12. If they give it to you in quarters, we just need to divide by 4 to get it back to the years. So depending on how they give you the period or the term, you just need to make sure that you convert that into the number of years because our interest rate is payable annually. Okay, so the other thing you also need to know is the simple discount. And your discount is the amount you will receive from a discounted value. So for example, if this is for the present value, so the present value times the discount rate times the period will give you the discounted price. But if you needed to calculate the future value of the discounted price, it will be another story. It will be different. Okay. Then we can also calculate the future value or the accumulated amount of simple interest. And for future value, it's given by the principal amount plus interest. Remember this, the example I made? You borrow 10,000, your interest is 1,000. Therefore, you have to pay back 11,000 back. We know what the formulas looks like. So we know that principal is P and I is for interest, but we know that our interest is P times R times T. And if we write this as a formula, we can get it as S is equals to P times 1 plus RT, because we take P as a factor out, and P as a factor will remain with 1. And if we take out P, there will be 1 times RT, which is the same as RT. And that will, this is the formula you will use to calculate the future value of a discounted price. The future value of the accumulated principal amount. Okay, let's look at an example. If you borrow 7,500 at an interest rate of 15% per year, what will you have to pay back if the repayment alone is within 4 months? So what they want us to calculate the accumulated amount that we need to be paying back, which means our principal amount plus the interest. We know the formula is S is equals to P times 1 plus RT. From the question, we just need to make sure that we understand what we are given. What are we given? We are given the P. From the question, we are given the P, which is 7,500. We are given the R, which we can say is 15 divided by 100, which is 0.15. We are told this loan needs to be repaid by 4 months. Therefore, we are told what T is, and T will be 4 divided by 12, because we need to always get it back to the number of years. So 4 divided by 12 gives us 0.33333. So substituting the value into the formula as we have them, our P is 7,500 times 1 plus our R is 0.15 times our T of 4 over 12. Substitute it into the formula. Then we solve what is inside the brackets first. 4 over 12 is 0.33333. If we multiply that with 0.15, we get 0.05. We add 1 to that, since we're still removing the brackets. So 1 plus 0.05 becomes 1.05 times 7,500. The answer we get is 7,875. And that is the future value of this 7,500 that is payable within 4 months at 15% rate. Any question? I thought there was someone asking a question. If there are no questions, then we move forward. Do we have an exercise? Joseph invests 36,000 at simple interest rate of 6% per annum or per year. How long will it take for Joseph to invest, Joseph's investment to grow to 55,000? The question, when they are asking you, there are a couple of things that you need to be aware of. You need to be able to identify what you are given in the question, and also you need to identify the key words in your question so that you can also identify the type of formula that you're going to be using. For example, with this one, they're telling you that this is simple interest rate. So there are two formulas that can happen here. You can either be using the interest to calculate the interest, or to calculate the future value. What are they giving you in the question? So the other formula looks like this. I is equals to PRT, which is the same as the one that we had with the small letters, but it's P times the rate times the time. Based on the information you are given in the statement, it will determine which formula between the two you need to be using, because for simple interest, those are the only two formulas that you can be using. So if you go into the formula, I'm just going to give you a hint. So looking at the question, if you look at the question, you are given 36,000. So we can identify this as our principal amount. We are given, because this is what he invests. So that's what he puts in. We are told 6%, that is our rate. That will be 6 divided by 100. And this will give us 0.06. We are asked for how long, therefore they are looking for T. So T we need to calculate. And they also give us the S. If I look at the second formula, I can see that there is no S on this formula. So I cannot use this formula. But if I look at the next formula, then because my future value is that one, and I know that I have my S, my P, my R, I need to make T the subject of the formula. And that's what we need to be doing. Make T the subject of the formula. Are we winning? Okay. So how do we solve this? We are given our future value, which is 55,440 equals our present value, which is 36,000 times 1 plus our rate, which is 0.06. And we need to make T the subject of the formula. You can take this value and multiply it throughout, or you can divide by 36,000. Up to you how you do it. So I will do the multiplying with 36,000. 36 times 1, 36,000. 36 times 0.6, 36,000 times 0.06 is 21.6 plus 21.0. Am I looking at the right things here? Is 21,000. Is 2,160, sorry. 2,160. And that will be T. Let's take 36,000 to the other side. We are left with 55,440 minus 36,000 equals to 2,160 T. 55,440 subtract 36,000 equals 19,440 equals to 2160 T. Divide this side by 2160 T, divide this side by 2160. Am I doing it the right way? I'm not sure. Yes.
Yes, from my side, nothing is happening. Your pen is not writing anything.
Anybody else? Do you guys see the screen where I'm writing? Need help? Anybody? Guys, talk to me. Is it only Krista who can see what I am writing?
No, I can't see what you're writing, ma'am.
But now it's appearing in the
Okay. I'll just want to see. I'm going to stop it and reshare again. Just give me some seconds to sort it out, to reopen it again. Okay. We said this is our present value, this is our future value, this is our rate, which is 6 divided by 12 by 100, which is equals to 0.06. And we said we are looking for T, and we substituted into the formula. 55,440 is equals to our present value of 36,000 times 1 plus our rate of 0.06 T. We said we're going to remove the brackets by multiplying by 36,000. So the 55,400 stays. Then 36 times 1 is 36,000. Plus 36 times 0.06 is 2,160 T. Do you all see the screen now? Is it visible?
Yes, I can see.
Okay. So now we take 36 to the other side. Sorry. So we'll have 55,440 minus 36,000 equals 2,160 T. 55,440 minus 36,000, we left with 19,440 equals 2,160 T. Divide this side by 2106. We must do again on the left-hand side, 2160. 2160 cancels out on that side. We are left with T. 90,440 divided by 2160. We are left with 9. Therefore, the answer is 9 yes. Any question?
Hi, Lizzie.
Yes.
Yes. When you said when they say it's gonna have the interest is gonna be payable in 4 months, you said it's 4 divided by 12. So if they say the interest is payable in 2 years, then what do you say?
Okay, so interest will always be per year. So they will say at the compound interest per year of 6% per year or annually, it will always be in your module. They're not going to complicate your life. They will always say per year. Your interest will always be payable for the year. So that is why if the period is not in years, we need to convert it back to the year to be in the same unit as your interest. So in your module, your interest is always going to be payable in a year. We'll always be using interest per year. Do you understand? They will not say interest is payable per month, or that will be when we do the compounding periods. But even there, it will say interest per year will be this much, compounded yearly or compounded quarterly or compounded monthly or things like that. But it's always going to be a yearly interest. And I think my network is bad. If I cut off, oh, sorry. You wanted to say something?
No, I just wanted to say thank you. I understand now.
Okay, great. I had another exercise that you needed to do, but since we ran into technical difficulties at some point, I'm just going to show you. You can do this on your own as well. So Susan invests 45,000 at simple interest rate of 6% per year. 2 years later, she adds further 20,000 investment at the same simple interest. Determine the total amount of Susan will have saved after another 3 years. So now, what will be the total amount that Susan has to receive? So after 2 years, he added another, but then after another 3 years, how much will that total be? So it means the first one, which is 45,000, will be for 5 years, because that is after another 3 years. So if this was 2 years, so we assume that one has been running for 2 years before she added the new one. And if after 2 years, we add another 3 years, therefore it means it will be 5 years. So it will, in total, it will be 5 years. So for the first one, it will go to 5 years. So the period for the first one will be 5 years at 6% interest rate. You just need to calculate your future value. So you will calculate your future value for the first one, which will be given by 45,000 times 1 plus our rate of 0.06 times the period of 5 years. That's the first one. The second one, you will calculate the future value of the second one, where the principal amount is 20,000, because she's putting 20,000. 1 plus the rate, they say it's the same rate, so it will be 0.06. And our period, 2 years to 3 years, how much? It's 3 years. So this you will only calculate it from 3 years. So your period T will be equals to 3 years. Let me put this nicely here to say 20,000 times 1 plus 0.06 times 3 years. When you are done, your total will be S1 plus S2 will give you the total that she will have to pay back. Because from 2 years to 5 years is 1 to 3 years. So that amount that she placed after 2 years later, it will earn interest only for the next 3 years. And that is why the year is only 3 years for that one. And for the first one, it will run because of that 2 years, and another 3 years, it will be 5 years. And you just add both of them and calculate your future value. Just to conclude, and you must let me know when I'm not audible enough, because my internet is giving me problems today. Since writing online exam, I always advise everybody, because then online it's the same as open book. There is nothing stopping you from writing for yourself a cheat sheet formula sheet, where you link all the formulas and you write next to those formulas what they mean and what do they calculate. So like for the simple interest, we know that for simple interest, this is the formula to calculate interest. This is the formula to calculate future value. And if we want to and then when you have the formula to calculate future value, you are able to make any of these other values subject of the formula. You can change your subject of the formula from being an S to being a P, or to be R, or to be a T. And these are the formulas. So if you were going to write an exam in a venue-based, you wouldn't have had this as written as interest or future value. You will look at the back of your exam paper and look at the formulas that are given. There will be a lot of them where they are not also labeled as what those formulas reflect. So you needed to know what those mean. But since you have the opportunity to write online, where you can write this formula somewhere and make note for yourself, it will make your life easier. And with that, we move on into the compound interest. We're also going to learn just how to do the basic calculations for the compound interest. For some of you, you might be doing your higher certificate this year, and then next year you're doing your BCom. You are relating to another stream. So some of you might end up going and do QMI. The same information that we are learning today, you are going to still apply in your QMI module. It's the same concept. So if you learn and understand this work this year, next year it will make life easier because we just add on top of what you have. But anyway, let's look at compound interest. What is it? How do we calculate it? Those with a financial calculator, especially the sharp financial calculators, the steps, I think they are on your tutorial letter or somewhere. Please follow those on how you use your calculator. Those with Casio calculators or sharp scientific calculators that are not financial calculator, you will always have to use your formulas to calculate. And I will explain why it's more difficult to use formulas than to use your financial calculator at the later stage. So what is compound interest? Unlike the other one where simple interest is the amount you receive when you borrow money, or the amount you pay when you borrow money, or the amount you receive when you save. Compound interest, and that one is paid once off at the beginning of the term. Compound interest, it is payable on a monthly basis or quarterly basis, or because it is compounded. So that is why compound interest is interest on top of interest. And to calculate compound interest future value, we use S is equals to P times 1 plus R to the power T. Those who are calculating this manually, you will always need to remember that because it is compounded, we're always going to divide our rate by the compounding period, and we're going to multiply our period or our term by the compounding period. What I will suggest is from outside, you just use T times CP and come and substitute it back into the formula and not complicate your formula. So don't do this. What you do is you write on the side and say, this will be my R over the compounding period. So P is your principal amount or your present value. S is your future value. R is your rate that you will pay. Remember, your rate, especially for those who are going to use the formulas, the rate divided by 100. So divide by 100 to get it to a decimal as well. Okay, what do we mean by compound interest and how do we work with them? Remember now, the compounding period, you need to know that if it's daily, we always use the normal calendar where we don't consider the leap year. So daily will refer to 365 days in a calendar month. Weekly, there are 52 weeks. They can also say bi-weekly, so you will know what bi-weekly will mean, so it will be half of the weekly. Monthly, it's 12 months. Quarterly, it's 4 months. Sometimes they might say 3 months. It's compounded 3 months or like that. So you must know that the minute they say 3 months, it's quarters. And when it's quarters, we say 4. There are 4 quarters. Sometimes they might say 6 months, or they might say biannually, or they might say half yearly, or in South Africa, they might say, and in the university term, we say semesters. So therefore, it means it's 6 months, 6 months. And since the year is divided into 2, then it will be, the compounding period will be 2. For yearly, or they say annually, or they say a year, it's 1. You need to know all the compounding periods and how they are described in order to use them. So what I've just explained, remember in the formula, we said interest we divide by the compounding period, and the term we multiply by the compounding period. So let's say we have our compounding period. So we have our compounding period as monthly, quarters, and biannually and annually. And our interest is 12%. And with interest of 12%, we need to divide our interest by 100, and it becomes 0.12. So since this is monthly, we divide by 12 months. Quarterly, we divide by 4. Biannually, we divide by 2. Annually, we divide by 1. And you get the answer, and you take these answers, you substitute into the formula. If you look at the term, if we have the period as 2 years, so therefore it means for 2 years, we multiply by 12 for monthly, we multiply by 4 for quarterly, we multiply by 2 for biannually, and we multiply by 1 for annually. And you take these values to substitute into the formula and calculate. Let's look at an example. Calculate the compounded amount of 500 invested for 10 years at 7.5 per annum compounded annually. We know what the formula is because we're talking about compounding periods or compounded amount. And it has compounded annually. So the formula, we know that this is the formula. Since we know that this is the formula, then we can go to the question and find out what we are given. In this formula, they give, in the question, they give us 500, which is our present value, which is invested for 10 years, which is our T. Remember our T, it will be T times the compounding period. Our compounding period is annually. So then it will be 10 times 1, so which is the same as 10. I don't have to repeat it again and again and again. So when it's compounded annually, it means we multiply 10 by 1. 7.5 is the same as 7.5, which is our rate. And we know that we need to divide by 100 to get it to 0.0775. And since it's also compounded annually, we can just divide by 1, which is going to be the same as 0.075. We take those values and substitute into the formula. Substituting, our P is 500, our R is 0.075, our T, must always remember to fix this. Our T into the power of 10. We solve what is inside the bracket. 1 plus 0.075 is 1.075 to the power of 10 times 500. And when we simplify the exponential, we get 2.0,06103 multiplied by 500. We get the answer of 1,032.52 cents. Always money to 2 decimals because it's 2 cents. And that's how you will calculate the future value of a compounded interest. All this, if you are going to write the exam in a value base, I'm going to always refer back to that, because if this year, let's say, for example, you don't pass BNU and next year you register and then you have to go to venue base, you need to know and remember all this. If you go to venue base, they will give you this formula, and this is the one formula that you will get. Let's say they say calculate the period, which is T. T is in the power. You need to know how to get T to be in the subject of the formula. You need to make T the subject of the formula. Therefore, you need to make sure that you bring back or you bring down T from being the power to being the subject of the formula. It's a very complex thing. The same with if you need to make R the subject of the formula. Remember, R is 1 plus R to the power of T. So first you need to remove T first in order for you to have R on its own. And T is in the power. How do you do all that? And that will be time consuming in the exam. So what I am suggesting you do as well now is to start practicing how you can do it. For example, this is the formula you get. If we need to make present value the subject of the formula, which is the P, we just take everything that is multiplying with P, including to the power of T, we divide S by it. So we divide this side by 1 plus R to the power T, we divide this side by 1 plus R to the power of T, we get P is equal to S divided by 1 plus R to the power of T. This is simple. What is not simple is making R the subject of the formula. Therefore, it means you can divide S by P and you will still be left with 1 plus R to the power of T. To get rid of T is to multiply with the power of a half of T. Remember that. And I think this formula is very wrong here. I think I'm doing it all wrong. Let's see. What am I doing wrong here? So let's say this is the formula. So we take S, we divide by P, because we divide this side by P, divide this side by P. Then we are left with 1 plus R to the power of T, this side. To get rid of to the power of T, it means we need to multiply this by 1 over T, so that T and T can cancel out. So it means also here we need to multiply by 1 over T. And that is why I'm saying this is actually wrong. So then we will have 1 plus R, because T and T cancels out. And this side we will have S over P to the power 1 over T. You will need to fix it on your side as well if you wrote it as T. And therefore we're going to say R is equals to S over P times 1 over T minus 1. And that is the formula. It has to look like that. I realized that I made a mistake there. I will fix it. Fix the interest. And the power on slide number 17 and 16. 16 and 17. So I'll fix both of those on the slides and republish them again. Okay. Oh, sorry. Before I do that, because I got distracted with that one thing as well. Now, the other thing that is also complex is making T the subject of the formula. So it means you need to know how to make use of the logarithm. I'm not going to go through the whole calculation to get T the subject of the formula. I'm going to give you the formula. This is the formula. Next year, if you register for QMI, I will show you how to use the logarithms to get to this, to make T the subject of the formula. But at this point, it's not necessary for you to know all the steps on how to get it there. Since you are writing online, just write these formulas as you see them. and use them on your calculator as you see them. Okay, so let's look at, I actually want to go to the steps when we use the calculator. So let's say we also need to be answering this question. Remember that this is the question we need to be answering on your calculator. Before I come to this question, I want to show you. So these are some of the steps that are in your book. As you look at the steps, they are like almost the same. And if you know all the steps, nothing will go wrong. You will know, if you know the steps, nothing will go wrong, because from now, when we do compound interest, when we do annuities, and when we do compound amortization, we will be using the same steps. The only thing that matters is what you are given. You just change what you are given and what you need to be computing at the end. Otherwise, the steps are the same. So let's look at the same example that we had previously. Now, you remember that in the manual calculation that we did, we've got S is equals to 1030. So those who are using financial calculator, the sharp financial calculator, we need to identify also what we are given in this question. Our PV, our present value, is equals to 500. Our N is equals to 10. Our I and Y, which is our interest, is equals to 7.5. Our compounding period is equals to 1. All those that are given, what do we need to be calculating? The future value, which is FV. That's what we need to be calculating. The steps are easy. We go second function, CA, is to clear your calculator from any stored values. And especially now, since you're going to be storing a lot and lots of values, you need to make sure that you don't skip this step. Second function, CA, clears your calculator from any stored value. Then we need to put in the compounding period. I'm going to suggest that you always remember to put the compounding period step in so that you don't forget, even if it is compounded annually. In that way, once you have mastered all the steps, when it's compounded annually, you don't have to do this. But for you not to forget, because sometimes it will be compounded quarterly or weekly or annually, or monthly, and you will forget to put the compounding period step, and your question will be wrong. So I always say you must, even if it's 1 year, you just need to do that step. Second function, P/Y, which is the P/Y is written in orange. It's on top of I and Y. It's on top of I and Y, and it's written in orange. That is the compounding period. And how many compounding periods? We only have 1. So we press 1, button number 1, and then we press the E and T button. And once you've done that, you can go on and off your calculator. You can press the red button, your on and off button. Now we are ready to capture the data that we are given. So sometimes you will be given the future value, or you will be given the present value. One of them has to have the plus or minus in front. If you look at the bottom, there is a plus or minus. So you need to press that plus or minus button. And then we press the present value, which is 500. And we need to go to the first line there of the function and press PV for present value. And that will store the present value. You will see it will say 500, and then it will have an arrow that points to PV. That means it stored that value as a present value. Why you need to put a plus or minus? The calculator knows that it needs to be in the positive, in the negative, so that when it does the calculation, your answer will be positive. If you don't put a plus or minus in front of this, the answer you will see in front when you get to compute, it will be in the negative. So please make sure that you remember that, to put the plus or minus in front of the present value or the future value, whichever one they gave you as a value. Okay, so now we can put in the period or the interest also here. The order does not matter. You can even start with the interest and then do the present value, then do the period. It does not matter which one you put in first, as long as you have all the values before you do compute, it's fine. So now we're going to do the interest, and our interest is 7.5, 7.5. On your financial calculator, you do not have to divide by 100. You use the value as you see it. So it will be 7.5, and this you just press the I and Y button on your calculator. Once done, we can then put the period. Now, here is the other step that I need to emphasize. If you are given the period in years and it is compounded quarterly, always need to multiply by the compounding period. You always need to remember that. But if it is compounded monthly, but your periods are in months, you do not have to multiply by the compounding periods. You just store the value of that. So in this instance, it's compounded annually and the period is in years. It's 10 years. So I can say 10 and I can put N. It will still work because it's compounded annually. They are in the same unit. The compounding periods and the number of years are in the same unit. So you can do it this way. Alternatively, since we have the compounding or the compounded amount stored, what we do as well on this, we can say it's 10 and then we press second function and then you will press N, which is your N button, and press N again. Why I'm saying N? We are actually pressing, because we're doing second function, we're pressing the value on top of N, which is X times the P/Y. If you remember, we put in the compounding period, so we're just multiplying our N by the compounding periods there. And then we need to press N again so that we store the value as N. It should say whatever the value which was multiplied by the compounding period, and we need to store that value so that it knows. Once we have captured all the values, now we're ready to compute future value. And when you press compute future value, the answer you will see will be equals to 1030.32 if you follow the steps with me. Now, there are other things that I haven't mentioned and I want to mention them now while this is still fresh. Let's say you need to compute N. If you want to compute N and your compounding periods are different to the years that they want. Let me just check if we do have a question that looks like that calculates the N. There we go. This is a good example. On this exercise, you need to be computing the number of months. What's key here is that number of months. Therefore, since it is compounded monthly and they want it in number of months, therefore the answer you find when you make T the subject of the formula, it will be in months. Or when you say N, it will be in months. The answer you see will be there. Let's say the question was not saying compute the number of months, but it says in years. It changes everything. Since it is compounded monthly, but the answer they want in years, therefore it means once you get the answer that you have on year, you get your answer, you will need to divide that answer by the compounding period. So you will divide whatever the answer that you have by 12 months so that you get it into the years. The same, you will compute N and divide by 12 months or by the compounding period. So let's say this is compounding period. You will divide by the compounding period. And that you need to always remember. Only if they say they want the number of years, the number of answer for your period in years, and it was compounded yearly, monthly or quarterly or weekly, you will have to divide by the compounding period. But if the compounding periods and the number that they are looking for are the same units like this, you don't have to. So with that, compute. This is your exercise. So those who are using manual calculations, the formula, if I can rewrite it, it will be S divided by P, but this will be the log of S divided by P divided by the log of 1 plus R. That will be the formula you use. Those who are calculating using the financial calculator steps, remember, I'm going to put blockies and you just fill in the missing parts. Second function, CA. So the first step that you need to do while I write the formulas for you is to identify what you are given in the question. Second function, CA. Second function, E/Y, E and T. So where I wrote the blockies, you need to fill them on with the correct answers. Plus or minus. And since here we are given the future value and the present value, you need to select one of them. So I'll use the present value with the plus or minus. And then the other one, which is the future value without the plus or minus. And we will do the interest. And when you are done, you can come N. Those will be your steps. So based on the information that we are given, they invested 6,000, present value. Interest, our rate. And the amount is compounded monthly, compounding period, 12. Future value, which is S. So you already have all these values. All we need to calculate is T. And that is for those who are substituting manually. Remember your interest, for those who are doing it manually, 12% divided by 100 divided by the compounding period. So you will say 12 divided by 100, and you will have to divide that by 12 again, because it's divided by compounding periods. For those who are using financial calculator, you just use 12 as it is. So this is your present value, your I and Y, your compounding periods, which are your P/Y, and your future value, which is your FV. Are we winning? Okay. Just to save time, I will start with those who are calculating with the financial calculator. So compounding periods, your steps will show 12 there. Your present value is 6,800. Your future value is 9,165.37. Your interest is 12. And you compute N. I don't know when you compute N, how much you get. You will compute N. Those who are calculating manually, the log of S is equals to P. So S divided by P, sorry. So our S is 9,165.37 divided by 6,800. Divide everything by the log of 1 plus our rate. Did you calculate the rate, which is 12 divided by 100? 12 divided by 100, which is 0.12, divided by 12, which is 0.01. 0.01. And when we calculate this, when we say the log of 9, what I'm doing, actually, let me do it this way. I'm going to stop sharing. And I'm going to keep. And just want to show you on the calculator. I'm gonna share my screen just now. Just give me a sec to prepare my screen so that it's ready for sharing. Okay. I'm gonna share it just now. No, just give me a sec. I just want to show those who are calculating manually. I don't have a sharp financial calculator on my machine. But the steps are there. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen just now. While you wait. Okay, do you all see my screen now with the presentation and my calculator? So this is a sharp calculator. I'm only going to do the manual calculations. Those with this kind of a calculator, it makes life easy because you do have the fraction. So at the moment, my calculator is not in the normal mode. I need to take it to normal mode so that I can use my fractions. It's in my math mode. So I'm going to do the log, and that is the log. And since my log is got the fraction, and this will be 9,165.337 divided by 6,800. And then I go out, put the bracket, go down with an arrow, put there the log of 1 0.01, close bracket. And I press the equal sign. It should give me the answer of 29.9999, and they said I must round it off to 2 decimal, and when I round it off to 2 decimal, this will be 0, 0, and 30, which one the correct answer. So the answer is just give me a sec to get to this. 29.99997, and they say I must round it off to 2. The number to the right of that is bigger than or equals to 6, so I must add 1 here, and when I add 1, that is 0, that is 0, comma, and I add 1 there, that is 0, and I add 1 there, it will be 30, which makes option number 1 the correct one. Any question? Those who are using financial calculators,
Can I ask you something?
are you struggling? Are you winning?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, for that question, for that answer that gave you 29.999, are we not going to divide it by 12 as they said that it has been compounded monthly?
Remember now they are looking for the number of months, not the years.
Not the number of years.
Yes, like when I explained, I said, if they say they want it to in years, then we will have to compounding periods to get it to the year. But since these are the same unit as the monthly, then we can leave it as we see it. Only and only if they say in years. Let me see if we have an exercise that looks like that somewhere. There we go. Here is one good exercise. If you look at this, it says, how long will it take for this investment to double in value if the annual interest is 10% and the interest compounded every 4 months? What will be every 4 months? How many months does a quarter have? 3. And we say when it has 3, then it means the compounding periods will be 4 because then it's that. So here you can use the reverse psychology. If I cluster the months in 4, how many compounding periods will I have? So it means how many number of ways can I split the year? There will be 3 ways that I can split the year. So therefore here my compounding periods, oh, sorry, I forgot that this, I'm in another view. Sorry, I need to write here then at the bottom. So the compounding periods for this one will be 3 because that's how I'm going to split the year. Remember the year has 12 months. And if it says it's compounded every 4 months, so it means every 4 months, how I can break the year, the 12 months of the year into 4 months, I will be left with only 3 groups of the 4 months because it's 4, 12, 4, 8, 12. There will be only 3 groups. So my compounding period is 3. The other thing here is it says how long, which means the T is what we need to be calculating. If I look at the answer, it's in years. Therefore, it means the answer I will get here, I need to divide by the compounding period. But the other thing that is very interesting is they say if the investment doubles, so it means I can choose any other amount. If my present value is 100, when it doubles in value, it becomes 200. So my future value will be 200. And this is not only about 100 and 200. It can also be 1 and 2. You can choose whichever way. 2, when it doubles, it becomes 4. You can choose any value for your present value and make sure that you double that value. It will still work, regardless of which value you are using. As long as you make sure that the future value doubles. 10% is our rate. Now, to calculate T, remember it's T is equals to the log of S over P divided by the log of 1 plus R. Substitute into the formula. We can settle for this, whatever we see in front of us. It will be the log of 2 over 4. I'm having them the other way around. It will be 4 over 2 because 4 is our future value and 2 is our present value, divided by the log of 1 plus. Our rate is 10%. We must always remember our R is 10 divided by 100, and we need to divide by 3 because we need to divide by the compounding period. 10 divided by 100 is 0.1, divided by 3 is 0.03. 0.03. That's the rate. Go to our formula. The log in bracket, the log of fraction 4 divided by 2. Let's use the fraction mode. Divide by 2, close bracket, go down. The log of 1 plus 0.03, close bracket, equals. Now, this is what I get, 23.44. I need to divide that by 3 because I need to divide by the compounding period. Something is not right. What did I not do right? Let's do it on a financial calculator. It makes my life easier that way. I will come back and see which one did I not do right there. The answer should at least be one of them in here, unless if let's use the financial calculator and see if we get the same answer. Then it means otherwise those with the financial calculator, second function CA, second function P/Y, compounded every 4 months, which is 3. And then you press E and T. On and off your calculator, plus or minus any value. We can use, we used 2 now. So let's use 2 as our present value. And we use 4 as our future value. And 10% as our I and Y. And pump N and divide that by the compounding period. So on my calculator, second function CA, second function 3, second function I and Y 3, E and T, on and off, plus or minus 2, that's our present value. 4, that's my future value. 10 is my interest. Comp N is 21.14. So why do I get the wrong values here? So I get 21.14 and I need to divide this by 3. Divide by 3, the answer is 7.05. So let's see what did I do wrong on this one. I am going to use the interest as it is, which is 0.1 divide And 0.1 divided by the compounding period. 0.10 divided by 3. I'm going to use it that way on the calculator. So let's go. The log of the fraction of for my future value divided by my present value, close bracket, divide by the log of 1 plus fraction 0.1 divide by 3. Use my arrow to go out, close bracket, use my arrow go up, equals 21.1. There we go. Divide this answer, divide that by 3, and we get 7.04. So the answer we get here was 21. Let's go back to the answer now. I forgot what it was. I didn't write it. 21.113909503. We need to take this and divide it by 3. So we divide by 3. We get 7.5 if we round it off to 2 decimal. And that will be your answer. You see the difference between the two?
Yes, ma'am, I can.
Here we go. And actually,
But
that
can I ask you?
Yes. Yes. Sorry. You can ask.
But as they have said that it is the doubled what? Doubled in the
Investment will
value.
double. Mm.
Yes. Are we going to substitute our formula with any value? Then we will find the answer in years.
Yes.
Or,
so
any value.
yeah, like I did it. So you can determine what your present value will be and double that for your future value, because they say an investment will double. So you could choose 7 as your present value. So
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
On here,
Thank you so much.
I could have 7 over, not 7. Yes, I can have 7, and this will be 3.5, because when it doubles, it becomes 7. 3.5 doubles to 7. It's like that. So you can choose any value, as long as your present value doubles for your future value. So you can choose 3. When 3 doubles, it becomes 6. Or it can be 15 for your present value. When it doubles, it's 30. Or you can even use thousands. Doesn't have to be 2-digit or 1-digit value. So if you prefer to work with thousands, you can say this is 35,000. What is 35,000 when it doubles? It will be 70,000. You just make sure that your future value doubles from your present value. Choose any value. Any value, any. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much.
With the next 2 minutes that are left, I'm just going to recap. And then we call it the quiz. So what we have done today is to look at the basic calculation, looking at simple interest, how we calculate simple interest. Remember that for simple interest, whether you have a financial calculator or you have a scientific calculator, we're always going to use the formula. And remember, it will just be your future value of a simple interest will be T times N plus RT, and interest is Y is equals to P R times T. R times T. And always remember that your T, which is the term, if it's not in years, we always have to convert it back to the years, because our rate is always calculated annually. And we also learned that we can make any of the values subject of the formula. So if the question is asking you to calculate your your term or your period, you just make T the subject of the formula and solve for T. Or if they ask you to calculate R, you can solve for R. We also learn the basic calculations of compound interest. We learn what the compounding is, if in terms of the description of the compounding and in terms of the numeric. If it says monthly, what will it be? If it says yearly, what it would be? What if it says quarterly, what it will be? And like with the last example that we did, sometimes you just need to apply your logic in terms of compounding periods. So now they say it's compounded every 4 months. So you need to think, if I have to break the year in four months, how many compounding periods will that be? So it means I will create three groupings of 4 months. The same way, if it's quarterly, we know that a quarter consists of 3 months, with 3 months make up a quarter. So that is why there are 4 groupings that makes up a quarter. Now, if it's biannually, we know that there is 6 months, and that's how you will define your compounding periods as well. Also learn that those who are calculating manually, you always remember to divide your rate by the compounding periods, to multiply your period by the compounding period. And the formula to calculate the future value of the compounded interest is S is equal to 1 plus R to the T. And with this, also you need to know how to make R the subject of the formula if they ask you to calculate the interest rate, not the interest. If they ask you to calculate the interest, then it means you need to say P minus, or S minus P, which is the future value minus the present value, will give you the interest. But if they ask you to calculate the interest rate, which is the R, then you need to make R the subject of the formula. And I showed you the formulas. You just need to make sure that you use the right formula. And T, if they ask you to calculate how long, then you must make T the subject of the formula. And if you make T the subject of the formula, it means you need to use the logarithm. Like I always say, please make yourself a cheat sheet, formula sheet somewhere. When you write BNU, you can have that to reference your formulas. If there are no questions, then we can call it a quit. Thank you for coming through on a Saturday afternoon to learn about maths. Enjoy the rest of the weekend, and I will see you next Saturday.
Thank you, Lizzie.
Thank you.